Hello, Moo, and welcome to the Pinktron. I'm Craig Martin, and I'm joined tonight by Sean Fogenberg. Sean, what are you drinking?
Uh, I am doing race two later, so I'm drinking now to prep. Uh,
Obviously.
Smart.
I believe that there is something to the pain relieving qualities of alcohol that make you ride faster and or longer, as the Chris Greenland Memorial Fondo proved. Uh, so I have it's a Negroni Riff. So it's gin, Aperol, and Manzanilla sherry. So a little kind of saline version of a Negroni.
And well done on the glassware there too, having a proper coupe for it.
Yeah.
Love that. Love a good coupe. I like that too because when you sit at a bar and you order a glass with that service, you always get that like super macho guy who's like, "You should drink that in a man's glass."
Nope,
No,
pinky's out.
pinky's out. Yep. Like enjoy the flair of that cocktail. I love it. Well done, Sean.
Okay, so we just heard Chris Greenland. Chris, what are you drinking?
Yeah, sadly I do not have a coupe, but I did bring with
Yeah, I
me.
love I saw your cup as well.
Yeah,
This is a plastic tumbler that I had in the back of my car, along with a full sample bottle of Buffalo Trace. Coming to you live from Bakersfield after a 4 hour car drive. I did pack a Miller Lite in my bag, so I'm having
A
a
drive
recovery,
recovery.
a drive recovery Miller Lite, and a sidecar of Buffalo Trace with it.
excellent. Our final Tron participant for the night, Steph Etienne. What are you drinking?
Yeah, since it's very late here in Belgium, almost midnight, I'm having some hot chocolate to keep myself awake, probably.
Ooh, I don't know. The hot drink tends to put me to sleep too.
Yeah, same.
That too, but
Is Belgian hot chocolate like a particularly is that like in the pantheon of hot chocolates because of the Belgian chocolate pedigree? It must be really good, right?
well, it's some store brand thing, so
Just Nestle powdered hot chocolate. Okay.
yeah, something like that on the but it does the job.
There's a time and a place for those. Fair enough.
Good stuff. So first up, Herd Winter Racing for this weekend. The Highline. Um, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
We
it's
just did this
yeah,
in Climbers
so
Gambit.
like I haven't. Oh, looks like we may have another person to ask what they're drinking.
A
We
late
do.
entrant.
Doug McKee.
Hello,
Doug, Doug, what are you drinking?
I'm back drinking, man. I'm breaking the cardinal rule of Pinktron. I got nothing.
Ah, okay.
You didn't get the supply delivery to your Alaskan outpost research facility this week?
That's so sad. Maybe it froze. It all froze. I just have a solid that I have to lick while we. What did I miss?
What we're drinking.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. Just in time.
just in
Yeah.
time. So yeah, Herd Winter Racing, the Highline. 2 trips up New York KOM. This is evil.
So I liked it a lot better as a Climber's Gambit, although I tricked Chris into doing a third one this past week.
Oh,
We it was like, hey, why don't we turn this into a real VO2 workout and just do another lap? Uh, I like it a lot better as a Climber's Gambit because you don't have to like. It turns out those the middle part in between the climbs is actually also fairly difficult. The
Yeah.
rolling,
can
yeah.
be.
Uh, I mean, might be
No
easier
recovery
for
after the first climb?
might be easier for those of us who have gotten unceremoniously dropped from the lead group.
Yep.
Uh,
Did
but
any of us do it?
no, not
No.
I'm
Yeah.
planning on race two, which is why I'm drinking now.
Nice.
Yeah, and
Nice.
And looking at the results, only 18 participants finished in race one. That's pretty low.
Wow.
That is low.
It's a lot
Who
lower
won?
than last week.
Everybody do the race. You'll get points. This will count in your final score.
Yeah, exactly.
When there's only 13 signed up for race 2 at this point. So something about this weekend or this course.
You can just keep drinking, Sean. You'll be okay.
I'll still get top 15.
Yeah.
The
Well, I
house-
mean, this is the opening weekend of the World Cup Supercross, but I mean,
Do you think that's why?
Well,
Yeah.
the race doesn't start till 9, so I don't think so.
You don't think
9 my time, 6 your time.
warming up for that?
Yeah.
Tailgating?
Yeah.
I don't even know
mean,
what Supercross is.
BMX Supercross. They drop in off the 8-meter hill, and it's
There's no
insane.
engine involved.
No engine.
That'd be motocross, right? Isn't that motocross?
That would be so. There is Supercross with motors, but Supercross BMX is dropping in off an 8-meter wall. Basically, they're crazy.
Wow.
And that's why our
And when do you start that,
winter
Craig?
racing numbers are down.
Never. I would die. I believe.
Yeah,
I would,
we've seen you on a regular course.
Please don't do that, Craig.
Yeah. No, I don't plan to.
All right, so the New York course is a 10K lead-in.
But yeah, because
Yes.
the lead in gets you to the top of the hill.
The lead-in gets you to the top
Yeah.
of the first climb,
Yeah.
and it's even. So it's a fairly long. You come out of the pens, you go up onto the glass roads, but you don't immediately start climbing from there. There is a fairly long
Yep.
portion where you are still just riding around on the flatter but not flat. They're definitely kicks section of the High Line before doing the KOM, and it's the longer of the two directions, so the one where you stay left at the fork. Chris, we've done this a lot recently for the climb. You want to describe the climb?
It seems very familiar. So yeah, this is the first. I mean, well, I guess the start line doesn't matter, but you hang that left to get onto the climb circle, where you can either head to the right and take the shorter way, or stay to the left and go up. So you're immediately going uphill. There is a little flat bit where those roads split off, and then from there you're just stair stepping. I think there's like a little bit of 6%, but then it goes right up to like 16, 18, curves around a little bit. We got another heavy pitch, flattens out a little, and then a final dig, and then a flat top. It's just, I mean, for Climbers Gambit, we were putting up between 4 and 5 minutes for that segment, but it's just brutal, and that's, leaving everything on the road. So we're going to race it a little differently. I think we talked about it last week, not like super draftable just because of the gradients, but you do have, like we're talking about, the toe in from the base, and there's the flat spot after that first initial ramp. Yep. And then again at the top, it'll flatten out.
Yeah, so it is only 1.4K at 6% on average, 6.4, but that is not,
yeah.
That is not the, like, how you remember this climb, because so the first 250 is 8-ish%, but then you've got 100 meters of flat. And then there's 400 meters that's essentially 10 or 11%, up to long stretches of 15. And then another 150 meters of under 3, including a 100 meters of flat. And I was actually in I would guess that in the race, things back off a lot more than you have to in the Climber's Gambit on that part. In Climber's Gambit, you're like, you hit the flat and you need to stay on the power to get a good time. I would guess that people are just like punching on the steeper parts and then recovering on those flatter parts a bit. But then this one does kick back up to like 11% right before the line. There's a short little 20 second little kick up toward the finish. The course then drops back down, you do another lap and then finish at I think it's finishing at the top of the second lap, right? So it's a summit finish. Calling this a summit isn't necessarily accurate,
Top of the
but
hill. Yeah.
top of the hill.
Can we go
Does
back to
that
the
mean
first 10K? Because if this was category racing, I would expect the first 10K to be fairly
Chill.
straightforward, not too crazy.
Yeah.
But with HWR, it's never.
It's going to be bonkers.
So it's going to be bonkers for the first 10K, and then even worse.
Is it though?
The climb, and then I think it'll mellow out after that first climb.
I actually think that the climb up to the high line is going to split things.
Oh yeah,
it will. But I mean, a lot of guys are going to be. A lot of people that can't hang on all the way to the top of the climb are going to be able to hang on to the top of that, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah. But I don't think like that ramp will probably get pretty hard, but I don't think it'd get crazy until the first climb because the first climb is there. I
what
think
I'm saying is, if this was just a category race, I would say maybe you don't have to warm up. You can use that first 10K as your warm up.
Yeah.
And that would be a big mistake.
Greg won't warm up anyway.
Yeah. I think you'll need a warm up for this because I think it'll be sufficiently hard for the first 10K.
It's tough to tell of the 18 finishers on Zwift Power where the groups split, like how big these were, because it ends in that final ascent up that climb. So I don't.
What are the time
tough to
gaps
decipher.
looking like?
So Scorekeeper won it with a time of 31:53, followed by our Viking friend Age Nesset, same time. And then you go back to low 32s, mid 32s, high 32s. That could all very well have been the same 6-person group.
Yeah.
Tyler is the first one in the 33s. So just under 2 minutes back of Scorekeeper in P7 at 33:29. And then it's just
you can get so you can get a split at the the end of the first lap, the end of the lead in.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like there was there was a group.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there was a group of 3 that had 40 seconds at the end of at the top of the first climb. So
okay. Was TJ in that group, or did he claw his way back and almost podium after being cut back?
He clawed his way back.
Okay.
He was, he clawed back 10 seconds after the first climb. So it was the same 3 that finished top 3. But so TJ was the best of the rest.
Oh yeah, he almost leapfrogged onto the podium.
He did.
Shermetto was there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler in P7, like we talked about. Yeah, just bodies. John Keenan was in that race. That's probably why he's not here. He's passed out on the floor somewhere of his garage.
Yep.
Yeah. Dan Manello 4.5 minutes down, so probably do race 2 then.
Yeah.
This route, it's pretty similar to Everything Bagel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that
except you don't have to go back down to the ground again
at the end, right? It keeps Everything Bagel keeps going, but I'm actually doing the Tour de Zwift race tomorrow morning on the Everything Bagel. So all of this is super useful. Those fields have been crazy. I have a feeling that that's one of the reasons why there weren't that many people today, is because there are just a lot of people are getting pulled into those fields.
How many? So it's Tour de Zwift?
Yeah, the Tour de Zwift weekend races.
How many people are riding those? Like
hundreds.
When you get into a field?
Yeah, hundreds in the B, just in the B category. It's hundreds. It's kind of wild. And
that'll do it.
Yeah. So what's the bike choice on this one? Is it climb?
Yee.
It's gotta be. I mean, with that first climb and then the finish on a climb, it's gotta be a climber bike.
I
would Tron
think
it.
Tron, because I
Yeah.
mean the climb averages 6%. And
It's got those steep sections.
but the steep sections are short
short.
enough.
Yeah, just blast through them. You'll be fine, Doug.
Especially since, like, you know, TJ was able to pull back 30 seconds of a 40-second gap.
Yeah.
There is like that segment in between the climbs is long enough that if you are dropped, like, you might be able to make up some time on the descent if you've got a Tron bike, and then you've got another 6K to try and work your way back.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I think
And then
speeds
give
are
it
going to
up
be
on-
high enough most of the way that you're even if you get dropped by a second or two, which is really more difference than the bike is going to make
Yeah.
on that climb anyway.
Yeah.
You're more likely to catch back onto the group if you've got the Tron.
And then you get the rest
Yeah.
because you can rely on the arrow. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
And if you don't have an arrow, best all rounder or something like that, then
If you don't have a Tron,
yeah.
Best all, I mean, in that case, I might be more willing to say, like, the climb is where this is going to matter.
I still
We'll
think it's your
see,
best
yeah.
arrow. I mean,
Yeah,
if
not best arrow.
best
Well,
all around.
Just
Best
all
all
around.
around.
best arrow other than the disc wheels.
Yeah. But like, you're not saying take Avenge.
PT
I
bike.
don't know. Venge
we should-
with the
Bike
7/8s. That would be
Okay.
fine, right?
We should do an around the horn sometime where we suggest new rules for races. Like for HWR, the top 3 in the first week or in each week have to ride the Buffalo bike the next week.
Yeah, we
Then we'll really
implement
know how much of a difference the bike makes.
I
We implement
don't
a
think it would
handicap
matter
system?
much. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see scorekeeper on the
Okay, we
on the
need
Buffalo
to
bike.
suggest. So yeah, there's a backroom deal to try to get scorekeeper to appear on the Tron. If we make that happen, we're putting the suggestion to him and see what he says.
I think we know he'll react.
He'll say, I'm right. I just ride a TT bike every week. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I ride the hand cycle everywhere.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so I think we've covered that. So Herd Beginner Racing is Deuce France this week. So that's a really good race course, I think. Definitely the danger of using it for HBR is that your gaps happen early. And yeah.
So Deuce France is the reverse of RGV, correct?
Yeah,
So
it's
you
the
go-
rollers first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, intestines first. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So I mean, good and bad. So everybody's fresh when you hit it, and then you've got a bunch of flat. But everybody's fresh when you hit it. If people go hard, you're gonna shred
Split
the field.
things, yeah.
Yeah. So
It's still pretty flat.
oh, it is. It's very flat.
It's net flat.
Always net flat.
Not everything bagel. If you count the lead in.
Well, the high line is not net flat.
No, that's what I mean. The high line, not net
Yep.
flat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, Deuce France, it is a great race course. I mean, it's very likely to come down to a sprint because it's flat for the last half of the race. But
What do you like about it, Craig? The French countryside?
Um, I like sprints,
Yeah, okay.
but yeah, this was also the a TTT on this was the my bump to B the first time.
Nice.
We just did the RGV as a TTT in ZRL this past week, and I'm having flashbacks to the team dragging my corpse across the line.
Yeah.
The TTT is the time is like the last drive is the fourth,
It's
right?
the fourth, and I was the fourth.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah,
you,
if you're on,
but you didn't.
I've been the guy
if you're
being
on the,
dragged many times too. Yeah.
We had
Cool.
one guy who with 5K to go looked at the times of the other teams and said, "We need to go faster," and then just like hit it really
Started
hard,
going
and
faster.
it just like we had four groups of six, like among the six people. It's
Yeah.
like, well,
That's not a good TTT.
Yeah, that's not productive.
yeah. And if you're on the limits, those intestines will hurt.
yep.
Rollers.
That's where you've got to talk about it first. Hey,
Yeah,
we need to
no.
speed up.
His talking about it was just saying "fuck it," literally on the Discord.
I thought this was a family cause.
There's no
No.
children listening.
I'm gonna put that little E on this episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh dear.
That's the
Okay.
aero bike you have?
Yes.
Most
Hmm.
definitely.
I
Yeah.
feel like this is one where the beginners can really like practice the sprints. They sit
Well-
in, practice drafting, and then see if you can use the right power up at the right time.
Yeah, and so it really is if you have to go hard in the rollers to stay on, go hard in the rollers to stay on.
Right.
And then if you have to push hard up the aqueduct, push hard up the aqueduct because you have a really long time to rest before the end if you manage to hang on to a wheel up to that point. So do it.
The finish really depends on what kind of rider you are.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know you don't have a sprint, like that's the time for the panache attack at 1K to go, and maybe you'll make it. But if you have a sprint, you just kind of want to sit on wheels until like 200 meters to go and then throw everything you got in it.
Yeah, so the classic attack on this one is actually a little further than 1K.
Really?
So so it's
one of the bridges.
Yeah, at the gravel bridge thing.
Why is that?
So more rolling resistance, so the draft
Mhm.
is less effective, so you can get a gap.
Right. And I think I can't remember when it was I got this advice. It was like embarrassingly long into my Zwift career. But if you're going to attack, that doesn't mean just like rolling off the front at like an extra 50 watts.
Nope.
You got to go hard,
Yep.
get a little bit of a gap, and then ease off.
Yeah. So it's
would
almost sprint for a gap.
Yeah.
And then down to whatever you think you can hold for your attack time.
So
And if you're
hope
sitting
you
there at
don't-
5 seconds, give up.
the other
You know,
bit that I would
I've
that I
made
would
that.
say is the attack is best from the back.
Yeah.
If in a smaller group. So
Yeah.
if you're sitting at the front and you start sprinting, everyone sees that coming. You can still see it coming when you're riding along, you look on the right, some orange numbers show up, but people don't tend to like respond right away in that situation. And then you come through the front of once you hit the front of the group, you actually have a big speed difference.
Exactly. Because you've been drafting all the way through the group.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we had that we had that happen. One of my ladder team did RGV tonight, and the other team, they just full send it at some point with 4 guys. Some of our guys were caught off guard, they didn't react for 1 or 2 seconds, and yeah, they were 2 seconds, and they broke away with 4 of their 5 guys with one of us. So yeah, it can be done if you're.
So
Right.
I think the other thing is, so Doug, I think you mentioned this is a good race for the beginners if they haven't done a lot of racing to practice staying in the pack, staying in the draft, and contesting the sprint. So the other piece, if you want to do that, especially if you're a little bit on this, towards the strong side and you're not really under pressure in the last 4K ish, is watch for attacks and cover them. Because two things happen. Either, you get to them and they drop off, or you get to their wheel, they keep attacking, and then you've got a 2-up breakaway. And you've got actually a pretty good chance of staying away if you actually work together a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's great. You can have a lot of fun on a flat course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Depends on who wants to do dumb stuff.
The racers make the race. And if there's anybody from ATP in your race, expect an attack about 4K from the finish in this direction. They all attack in the same place, and I have no idea why. The same place in both directions. I don't understand it.
It's in the bylaws when you join the club.
I think so.
Where do the herd racers attack? Is there a specific place we're supposed to attack?
We attack toward the back of the group.
1 kilometer to go.
1 kilometer, exactly.
Panache.
Why? Yeah, I'm sure it's over on the I don't know, the Orange Buffalo Bike podcast that ATP runs. They're like, why is it that the herd racers always go 1K to go?
Panache.
Panache, that's the answer.
Okay,
Climbers
so
Gambit?
Climbers Gambit. Chris.
Sure, yeah, why not? Let's talk about it. Climbers Gambit, it's the start of a new series. We're into February. Our thoughts turn to Valentine's Day and love. And with that, we think about the hills across Zwift, which we also love. So this series is dedicated to all of our classic hills that we know, love, and love to climb up. We are starting with Petit KOM in France. You can go on to do the full route, but I have capped the Lorraine route at 11 point something. It's the quickest way to the base of Petit KOM, so don't freak out. You don't have to do the whole thing. But yeah, first up is Petit KOM. I don't know the stats in it because I don't have my computer in front of me, but it's a lovely little spin. I think we've gone back and forth on bike choice. There's a couple of different options here.
Climb is 2.7K at 3.9%. This is one of those climbs where it's stair steps, but not like, not up to 20%. The steeper bits are like 5 to 6. We have in the past had these conversation about what the fastest thing on this is. I think this is an Aero an Aero TTT, or an Aero TT bike.
There you go. Third time's the charm.
Third time's the charm. The average gradient is low enough, and I just want to check what some of the times were that people have done. But so my fastest time on this is still 16 miles an hour, 26, 27-ish kph, which that's in that range where the more aero you are, the better it is. I could see maybe if you are in the D's, going Tron or something lighter might probably Tron still. Could
Yeah, because it's
help.
just so flat at the bottom. Like in the first initial, right after the climb, it's not downhill, but it's not super steep. You're still going pretty quick.
Yeah, it goes in like Sean said, it's stairs. It goes steeper a bit near the end, but still pretty consistent.
I fully endorse Aero TT bike for the Pedicom.
All right, there you go. Breaking news.
I mean it's kind of a shorter version of the Volcano to some degree.
Even less steep than the Volcano. But I want to go back to love. And I want to ask Chris why, if the theme is love, you have got the one mountain that is nearly universally hated on the first day.
The TKOM?
Yeah, I've got the bet.
I thought we go partly up the La Ren.
I think the bet is that you will love not having to do the whole route.
You will love seeing the blue banner approaching in the distance.
You'll love when you get off the bike.
And not have to go all the way up. Yeah.
So, Chris, the absolute most evil thing you could do here, I think, would be to have the route be the full Lorraine.
So you have to finish it after
you have to finish it, but it doesn't matter how slow you go.
We've got things to do, Craig. There's World Cup motocross to watch or participate in. We've got other stuff to do.
We do.
Yeah. That would be a very James Bailey thing to do.
So moving on to herd of mountain goats, we have Climber's Gambit. Just to stay
it's not confusing.
Not to be confusing at all.
So this is the one I feel like this has come up in ZRL a couple of times, or at least once.
It was the Zwift Academy course.
Yeah. So you do some of the like flatter downtown areas before heading over to Titans Grove and doing the reverse steeper part of Titans Grove, the one that's just one like 4 to 5% ramp. Finish Titans Grove, head over to I think it's the Epic KOM reverse.
It is.
So it's the steeper part of that as well, but it's another one that's like you go up a ramp and then you have a like 10 to 15 second recovery as you go down a little hill, and then another ramp, and then a little dip. There's like 3 or 4 of those on the way up. So yeah, it's a 6K 6% finish, which is that's a real hill.
Yeah.
For Climber's Gambit or sorry, for Mountain Goats, it's a lot of flat beforehand, but there's nothing that's really steep. I guess it depends how it gets raced, as we always say, but is this a climber's bike?
I think it's climber's bike.
I agree.
Yeah. In the draft, I don't think there's enough of a difference between
Ron and a
Athos. Like when you take that down by the however many percent from whoever's leading to whoever's in 4th, 5th, 6th wheel.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough power savings to bother with the
no, especially because the way that I would expect this to get raced, it's the difference between, high zone 2 versus low zone 3 or whatever when you're riding the flat parts.
If somebody's pretty strong, I can see trying to break the group up at Titans Grove reverse, so expect a preliminary effort there.
Could be a split.
Yep.
And that's actually an area where the more aero you are, the better.
Yeah.
So even having a climber's bike might be a disadvantage there.
Oh, I think it would be, but I think it's worth it. because you're really going to want it on the epic.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing a 20-minute climb at the end of this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
get ready to set a new FTP.
I think that my favorite part of this course is just remembering Craig making plans to make people upgrade in in CRL.
Oh.
Like, I'm gonna attack with like a couple 100 meters until the climb so that everyone has to go hard for the whole 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't actually care how well I do. I'm just gonna make people like I'm gonna pop people.
I mean,
Yep.
the worst for that is those Austrian climb, those Innsbruck climbs.
Yep.
Because even if you're really fast, they're still 20
A
minutes.
little over. Well, unless you're scorekeeper, those guys, they
Yeah,
were
Tyler,
like
and-
15
yeah.
somethings.
My one season in ZRL, the final round was on one of those climbs, and
Yeah.
it got really weird because with like 500 meters to go, everyone at the front just slowed down because they all had their computers telling them their 20-minute power was too high. And then even so, like 6 people got kicked out.
Yeah.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
And that's why we need results-based categories. Anyway.
Oh,
Stampede.
breaking news: climber's bike for mountain goats.
Climber's bike for mountain goats, which isn't unusual. Usually is.
Oh.
Stampede of Innsbruck Ring.
One lap.
Ooh, wow.
Is it the full lap? It is. Yeah.
It says 1 lap. Yep.
Wow.
I mean, that's a
hard do
fun
you
little
go on the leg snapper.
hard. Really, really hard.
But not so hard that you don't have anything left for the final 5K.
No, I mean, I
4K.
wouldn't
Not as hard as a regular race.
I wouldn't try to do a 50-second, but I
Right.
probably try to do a minute,
Right.
maybe a minute 2, minute 3.
Yeah, that's a cool course.
And if you are racing in ZRL this season, the Tuesday race is a scratch race on a couple. I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 laps of Innsbruck Ring. So this is a good
nice.
preview if you want to get a sense of the course. I mean, we all know the course, but just a nice little preview before having to race it.
And then we have Bullseye.
Should only be about 15 minute, like a 15-minute effort. So, not going to kill you for Tuesday.
No, definitely not. But yeah, so then Bullseye, we have Duchy Estate. So that's one of the classic Bullseye courses. So this is Duchy Estate's a great race course for Bullseye or HSRL points racing. So yeah, that one should be really fun.
Is that the clockwise?
It's
circuit?
clockwise, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that with the steep section in the beginning when you enter the loop, or the
Yes.
or-
Yes. Yeah.
that's-
So you come down into the loop, you go up the ramp across the almost the false flat, and then into the downhill uphill into the banner.
Yeah.
Turn downhill uphill to the banner.
How many laps?
What did he say? He said that's the wrong date. There we are. 7.
Oh,
I mean,
And
this one is nice because it's kind of almost humane because there's only the 1 sprint per lap.
yeah. Well, and the lead-in does count though.
Leading counts. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, lead-in counts, finish is double.
it is only 3K though. So you still have a sprint every 3K at the end of a little push. Like, this is one where it's 1K from the bottom of that that little steep ramp to the banner, and if you are strong, you can split things up that up that kick and falls flat.
Ooh, that's hard.
It's pretty
Oh,
fun.
that's hard.
But
Yeah.
it could be really hard for people who have been doing it as sprints instead of like,
Right.
I'm going to put in an effort.
Yeah.
Right.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And then I guess next week we finish with this nonsense. So herd winter racing is Lutece Express. So that's Champs-Élysées backwards.
Mm.
So there's little climbs, but it's certainly not New York KOM.
How many laps of that?
That is it. I'm sure it does, but I'm not
Let's
looking.
make it one.
Let's make it one.
Just the lead in.
It would be so fast. Oh my God.
It's actually only 2.
Whew, that's also going to be fast.
That's going to be real fast.
Maybe
That's
get a
gonna be
warm up
hard.
in.
You get a warm up in because that.
Wow.
That's going to be so Lutece, you do have to go up and down the hill to get to the start. So it's a fairly long lead in still, but essentially 2.5 laps of the loop.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 15 to 15-ish minutes. Like it's going to be all out.
Well, and as far as the comment on be warmed up, yeah, because you come out of the pens, you turn left and go up the hill.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Maybe have a bucket next to your bike.
That too. And herd beginner racing next weekend is Electric Loop. So that is Pan Flat in Neokio. Alley Sprint and Tower Sprint Reverse, I believe.
If you say so.
Yes.
Not that it really matters for HBR, but
it just in which directions you're going.
My beginner's tip for that course is don't get too distracted by all the lights.
Yeah. But it's even more so than Deuce France. It's stay in the draft, stay in the draft, stay in the draft, stay in the draft, and then sprint. Okay, well, that is this week in herd racing. So there's 2. So first, I think just to cover it, because it is a notable thing in Zwift, there were some layoffs announced, and the co-CEO resigned, and yeah, that happened.
And while they haven't announced it, this is the end of Zwift.
There seems to be an awful lot of this is the end of Zwift posts in various Facebook groups. Yeah, I'm pretty sure not. Things have been worse. But yes, so former Pinktron member James is still employed by Zwift, and just about everybody else that we work with, we believe, is also still employed with Zwift. The public facing person that we believe was laid off was Flint, who is quite active in the forums on Zwift.com.
And who it seemed like was either running or at least a part of the group that was interacting with the team that was trying to do the results-based categorization.
Yep.
Which we're all, really hoping goes well. So
I'm hoping it goes well, but it hadn't gone well so
far. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
So that's that.
Zwift is I don't think we need to worry about Zwift until there's an actual competitor. And there isn't really a competitor right now. And when there's a competitor and I start to worry, there'll be a competitor to go to if Zwift dies.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that I think the biggest competitor for a while was RGT, which was
Right.
then bought by Wahoo and then shuttered by Wahoo, and now Wahoo and Zwift are kind of
Part
partnering.
Partnering with the Wahoo Kicker Core Zwift 1 edition. So I was actually a part of an RGT users group, mostly for entertainment, because many of them were rabidly anti-Zwift for no apparent reason. But anyway, yeah, there's a lot of anger in that group, feeling betrayed that now Wahoo has partnered with Zwift. So anyway, that's okay. So I have a Wahoo Kicker Core. I like the Wahoo Kicker Core. The Zwift 1 edition, adding the Zwift cog. So this is to my understanding, this is a slightly different Zwift cog than came with the Zwift Hub 1.
As far as I know, it's connected to a different free hub.
Yeah. So anyway, it's so they're selling it, and I don't know if it's for sale yet, but they're going to sell a cog and a click shift kit for existing Kicker Core owners, and it may or may not come for the Kicker V5 and V6 as well. I was under the impression that it would come for the V5 and V6 anyway, maybe not older ones, but anyway.
So personally, I've got a Kicker V5, and I would be all over this because I wear out like certain cogs on the trainer.
Yeah.
Like you just ride in certain gear ratios a lot because you're just on the flats. Like there is one cog that like that's the gear ratio that I need to be in a comfortable cadence with Miguel, like, or with any of the pace partners. And if you just do that a lot, you end up with like a cassette that isn't worn evenly.
Well, if you do a lot of erg workouts, it's the same problem.
Yeah. So I guess so my racing is on a single speed from a standing start. So I deliberately use a lot of different cadences. So I don't know if I have quite as much of a problem with this, but it definitely, I don't use the either end of the cassette very much on Zwift.
Wait, is a single speed or it's not a single speed?
Not
His
the bike
actual race bike.
Not my bike on Zwift. The bike I race with.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. The bike I race with in real life on the BMX track
is a
single speed. And my cadence goes from 0 to probably 150, 160 during a race.
Has anyone had to replace, Sean, if you had to replace your cassette on your trainer due to wear?
I have.
Yes.
You have. Craig,
I
you
have. Yep.
And
Steph?
And
No?
chain. Like the chain
definitely
and
chain.
like but the chain and cassette like not wearing evenly was, if you remember, there was a point a year-ish ago where I was having major issues with like my chain
remember
coming
that.
off.
Mhm.
It was like 3 HWRs in a row or something, wasn't it?
That sounds bad. I mean, if you had asked me 6 months ago, would I be in the market for something like this, where I would never have to actually shift my derailleurs and I could instead press buttons on the handlebar and it would all be handled virtually, I would have said, no way. I don't want that. I want, like, the thing that I like about Zwift is it's a lot like riding a real bike.
Yep.
And my real bike has a mechanical derailleurs and it's not a one by, and I like shifting on those things, and I want it to seem a lot like my outdoor bike. But since then, I cracked the frame that I was using, and which was not that surprising. It was a 25-year-old frame, and it was like one of the first carbon fiber frames. It was Lance's OCLV Trek frame.
Yeah.
Same frame that he used to ride. It was great, loved it. And then I decided instead of getting a new bike for the trainer, I would just get a new classic old frame and put all my old stuff on it.
Yeah.
And so now I have this old, like, it's beautiful, classic 1995 bike on my trainer. And it just doesn't shift as well as modern stuff.
No.
Like my brand new mechanical Ultegra that I ride outside shifts so much better that I kind of don't like shifting on the old bike. And I wouldn't mind actually having little buttons that shift a lot nicer.
So I'm gonna suggest something actually in my bike mechanic
Oh yeah.
persona.
Okay.
Derailleur hanger alignment. If there's anything that affects shifting, as far as clean shifting, especially, it's derailleur hanger alignment. Because I've adjusted that on a few bikes, and the difference it makes is just amazing.
Front or rear or both?
Rear. Well, I mean
Rear.
both. If you're having trouble shifting the front, then
Well, it's not that it's
mess
it's
around
not that
with
it's
your
hard
front
to
derailleur.
shift. It's that I need to fine tune the front derailleur to not
Oh,
have
yeah.
the chain rub on it.
Oh, well, just take it off and shift with your thumb.
Just reach down and grab the chain and lift it between the.
No, I did that for 2 years on Zwift.
That sounds miserable.
Yeah, I've been thinking about getting because I have the Zwift Hub Classic, as they call it, with a thing. And I was thinking about it because I broke I'm using my old road bike now on the trainer, and somewhere the shifter for my front cogs, the piece broke off of it, so I can't shift between my front discs. So now I've been stuck in the big ring forever since. So
Oh my god.
maybe it's time for using it.
Yeah, or just turn the trainer difficulty down a little.
Or you
Yeah,
just reach down like Craig does.
Or just reach down
Up
and
the
shift with
chain.
your finger. Yep.
Lift it up.
Just lift
Well,
it
actually,
up.
you don't have
the
to lift
only
it up.
time-
You just push it over.
Just gently
The
press
only
it.
time
Just
I
press it over a
manually-
little bit.
I think the only time I manually put it in because I have not a 1 by 3 by, because it was a triple.
Yeah.
It's quite an old bike. So if only if it's a big climb, I change it manually. But yeah, I was thinking about it because that was interesting. We're reading with the Wahoo and Zwift partnership, because they also read that they are discontinuing their current Zwift Hubs ones, and the Zwift Hub 1 is they said it's only on the market for 4 months, so it's quite an early discontinue.
Yeah. But I mean, so it's the same, the Zwift, the cog, it's essentially the same thing. It's just a plastic bumper for a single speed kit.
Yeah.
It's
And-
if you wanted, you put a single speed cog on
Mm.
with some spacers, or a single cog on the free hub, put some spacers on to align it nicely, and just run with that. You don't need the cog.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that I mean, so Zwift was never making the trainer hardware themselves anyway. so they partnered with another company. I can't remember what the company was,
It was
but
jet
I mean,
black.
Jet Black, yeah. I mean, and they were just essentially rebranding that with some updates that, like the cog, as a Zwift trainer that, and there were set up things that were nicer and all of that, but it doesn't make it is not a surprise that they're like, well, you know, if we can get our piece that we have developed into more hands by partnering with, partnering with Wahoo, um, I I see why they're doing that. I think that the one thing that was really nice for people about the Zwift hub was that it was cheap. It was like a really affordable, uh, pretty, not bottom end smart trainer. Um, that there was trust in because it had a Zwift name on it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at that lower end of the
They
market.
succeeded. They
Yeah.
managed to get everyone else to lower their prices, and now there are really cheap, pretty good direct drive trainers out there. So, and they're in bed with Yahoo, so they don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and basically, I think they got an equally or pretty close deal with Wahoo's. They had Jet Black, and that was the resolution to their whole legal dispute.
Yeah, maybe we should kiss and make up instead.
Yeah,
Was basically the outcome.
maybe this will work out.
Yeah.
So anyway, I would be interested in trying virtual shifting, but I'm not allowed to buy Zwift Play or anything from Zwift. So
Canada
yeah,
can't trust the Canadians.
can't trust the Canadians. So
So, has anyone? So, Steph, you've tried the virtual shifting with
No,
the
no,
cog?
no. I was
No.
thinking about getting the cog and the click.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I am really interested in it. I mean, I'm also, we've talked about it before. I'm still interested in is it called the Play? The controllers?
yeah.
The steering.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
super fun.
I know,
And
Chris,
that's not
you've,
the same thing. Like
Yeah.
you can't, if you get a Play, you can't do virtual shifting.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
You have to have
If
the right kind of trainer.
yes, if you have at the moment
if you get that cog,
a Zwift hub. Oh no, you don't need the cog.
Don't need the cog.
The cog doesn't. The cog is not important in virtual shifting. All it lets you do is not have a cassette back there.
Yeah, this was literally the rabbit hole I went down on between Reddit and the Zwift forums 2 nights
Yes.
ago.
Yep.
Where because I've got a kicker core, I upgraded my firmware and I have the Play controllers, and I just
You
leave
can
it
virtual
in-
shift. Yep.
I can use virtual shifting now, so I just
And
leave
how
it in
is
a
it?
chain
Oh.
line.
How is it?
It's interesting. I like it overall. I thought there would be a little bit more customizability to set it to whatever your gearing is,
What you
or
want it to be.
but it's just a straightforward, here you have 24 gears. You can run
Yeah.
through them with the buttons that I didn't even fucking know were there on the outside of the Play controller. But through the tutorial, it was explained to me that you have these hidden buttons, you can just tap them. So a little bit counterintuitive. You have to like untrain your muscle memory on how to shift. But overall, I like it. Like when the Hub 1 first came out, the power brick on my kicker cord like fried itself. You know, that really foul smelling electrical burn. I walked out into my garage one morning and that was filled the entire room. So I was like, oh shoot.
You let the magic smoke out.
Yeah. So luckily, unluckily, a new power supply fixed it. But in the back of my head, I was like, oh, that'd be cool. I could just get one of the kicker or the Wahoo, or sorry, the Zwift 1 trainers and not worry about like swapping bikes or getting my old bike where the derailleur is all screwed up on it. and the shifting would work fine. Like it would just run as a single speed.
Yep.
So when this came out, like it was a godsend. And that opens up a whole new world of being able to swap bikes. Or Doug, I'm surprised you didn't just duct tape that frame up. Like cracked frame.
I
Not like you're descending
I
on it. Just
honestly
wrap some
thought
duct tape around
long
that
and
thing.
hard about it, but I mean, this is not going to work for the podcast. But like, here's the frame.
Holding the frame
the-
in front of it. Looks
The crack
fine.
is like right down by the bottom brackets.
Okay.
And so the thought was it could actually become catastrophic if I went to sprint
Yeah.
and then it broke, and then I would like, my head would smash into my screen. And that didn't appeal to me.
That's just added compliance, Doug. People pay a lot of money for that.
Added compliance.
I need a padded monitor. If I
Yeah,
had that,
That's that fore aft bottom bracket compliance everybody wants. Yeah.
You just wear a helmet while you're Zwifting and everything will be fine.
I hear these
Full
hedgehogs
face.
are very popular right now. For
Oh yeah.
those rubbery things you put under your trainer to give you a little bit of squish. I could glue the hedgehogs to my screen. Yeah, no. No. Honestly, it was all a big excuse to get an aluminum Klein, like classic old red, like candy apple red frame, and it's
Nice.
beautiful. I love it,
Yeah.
and it's stiff, and so it just doesn't. I just don't like the front derailleur very much. Otherwise, it's great.
They just reach down and change it yourself. That's why they call it a one by, because every time Craig reaches down to change gears, he waves goodbye to one of his fingers.
Exactly.
Actually, I did go through a year shifting a bike with a screwdriver on the limit screws too.
During a sprint, you shift during.
What is happening up in Canada?
Well, this is winter, right? So if I put a shift cable on it, it was just going to rust and break. So
I didn't realize that front derailleurs were like sensitive military hardware that can't be exported. In fact, don't we import them from other countries?
I'm just a cheap ass bastard. Yeah.
Duct tape the screwdriver to your seat tube.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did try the virtual shifting, short story long, and yeah, overall positive. Would have liked some of that to be able to set. These are your virtual chain rings. This is your virtual cassette that you're working off of.
Do you think that is a thing that they might implement, or is it like?
I feel like I remember seeing it in screenshots on other virtual shifting setups. So I imagine that the technology is there to be able to port that over.
What are you missing out of the, like, do you want more gradations or do you want bigger jumps?
I want to mimic what I'm working with in real life to be on my Zwift bike. So I know.
Yeah. So the Stages bike can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what you can do is you can get DI2 for your real life bike and get it controlled by the Zwift click. So when you're out on the road, you can shift with the click. And then it'll really mimic your outdoor ride. Is that what you want?
I like
Or
where your head's
you
at, Doug.
You want to mimic your indoor ride outdoors?
Outside, yeah.
Put wheels on your kicker.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Kicker
Was
trike.
that our around the horn?
That was it. So I think that is the Pinktron for tonight. So thank you, Steph Etienne. Thank you, Chris Greenland. Thank you, Sean Fogenberg. And thank you for the late Doug McKee.
Oh, did he die?
Rest
No,
in
he
peace,
just showed
Doug.
up late.
It's kind of late here. I'm gonna head to rest.
I think it's latest for Steph, but
yeah, it's late.
Anyway,
Tomorrow.
thanks
I'm surprised
everybody.
I didn't fall asleep.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. Have a good week in racing, and see you next time. Moo.
Yeah.
And good night.
Oh.
Bye.
Woo.